A sentencing hearing for former Canadian fashion mogul Peter Nygard has been postponed to next month. The 83-year-old was convicted on 4 counts of sexual assault last fall. The hearing is now scheduled for September 9th. Prosecutors asked for a delay because of scheduling issues. The prosecution wants Nygard to get a 15-year sentence. He has been in custody since 2020. His lawyers say he should only be sentenced to just 2 more years, considering his age and health issues, which include glaucoma, type 2 diabetes, and incontinence. Nygard's sentencing has already been delayed several times before. And for more on this, I want to bring in Shannon Moroney. She's a therapist, and she joins us from Toronto today. It's good to speak to you tonight.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
So it's been almost 9 months since Nygard was found guilty of these charges, and his sentencing delayed yet again for another month. Were you surprised by that?
Unfortunately, not at all. And I, speak for many of the survivors as well. I've been working with them for close to 4.5 years, and I don't think anyone would be surprised at any further delays even. It's just been an extremely demoralizing experience at this point.
The allegations against Nygard go back more than 4 decades. How are these delays impacting survivors who are not the ones affected in the particular case where he was actually found guilty, but those who are still waiting for trial, still waiting for to see if they will get justice?
I think at this point in time, most of the victims that I'm hearing from are just saying, let this trial come to an end, let him be sentenced, and let him get through the next of his trials. But this one does feel, for many, not for the most important one, because it is the first. But these delays, by the time if he is actually sentenced on September 9th, it will be exactly a year since the trial was supposed to begin. It was set to begin September 11th, and even that was delayed. So the delays, unfortunately, have become the norm. But how they leave victims feeling, and as you say, not only the victims here in Toronto, but those across the country, in the US, the Bahamas, and many other places, feeling as though they are the least important factor in the entire trial process, especially when we've come to the reasoning for some of the delays here. It just leaves them feeling, as one victim said in her victim impact statement, as she wishes that she maybe didn't even come forward at all.
Does this kind of delay, that sort of feeling that you're expressing, and you are in touch with some of these survivors, does that deter others from coming forward in other cases?
Absolutely, it does. This is there are so many reasons that are why people don't come forward, and this is absolutely one of them. I've heard many survivors say to me, this process has been completely re-traumatizing. We've heard in the past from Casey Allen, a well-known spokesperson and survivor herself in Winnipeg, say that she's over the rape 40 years ago, but she feels raped by the justice system. And I don't feel that her words are too harsh. They are quite an accurate description. And so, of course, people watching think, why would I put myself through this? Maybe I'm better off just to live with what happened to me. And that's wrong. That is just absolutely wrong. I think the other point that I think is important to raise is that even when the sentencing does happen, there's very little in it for survivors. It comes down to the only thing that is served is time by the offender. The victims and their families and people who have been hurt by this, and certainly in this Nygard case, there are dozens and dozens, hundreds and hundreds of people affected. The reality is that they just have to go back to their lives. At the end of the day, Peter Nygard will be sentenced for however long he's sentenced, and everyone else will just go home. And we don't have any mental health care coverage in the provinces. There's nothing for these victims other than to know that their particular offender is safe from hurting anybody else. for as long as he's in prison. And for Peter Nygard, it may well be the rest of his natural life because he's so elderly at this point.
Well, I was going to ask you, and I have to wrap it quickly because I am going to run out of time, but from those you're speaking to, I mean, he's been found guilty, so they have that. What do they expect, or what do you expect from the sentencing? What would be enough?
To be honest, I don't think that there is anything that could ever really be enough. I think, most likely he will have a sentence that will be the rest of his natural life at 83 years old right now. I think that it's very important for people that he never walks free again. That's the most important thing. And he does have other trials waiting. So whatever his sentence is on these charges, he's got a long road ahead of him as well. But the road that I think that we all need to be thinking very thoughtfully about and actively about is the road for victims from the very beginning, when they first start to come forward and what's happened to them all the way into this point, which unfortunately I can expect will be only a minor amount of reassurance or healing can come from the punishment of the offender.
Therapist Shannon Moroney, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.